All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the May 2026 DAS monthly meeting. We have a number of exciting things planned for tonight. Lots of member mini talks and other interesting events are going on. So first, do we have any new members who'd like to introduce yourselves? In the room.
Oh, sorry, Rob.
Yeah, you could do that.
Anybody? Someone raise their hand.
Oh,
Michael, you want to big in Michael?
I can.
Hi, I'm Michael, and my good friend Bill gave me awareness of the club when we both moved from different parts of where we lived near each other. So looking forward, and I'm really pleased to be part of it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Welcome, Michael.
Welcome to the club.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Any other new members? Okay, cool. If you do that background. So real quick, just a nice announcement. We have planned the DIS picnic. It will be on July 25th at 12 p.m. And Jeff is going to cook some nice food for us. It's going to be exciting. And also it's going to involve a potluck. So people bring various dishes. It will be here at Mount Cuba. We'll set up little canopies and chairs and stuff like that outside. Hopefully it's really great with all the new changes with the parking lots and the various picnicking areas and all that stuff. It should be a really nice event. And later that night, we'll transition to the Woodside Creamery where you have an outreach event. So we'll have dinner and then we'll have dessert and it'll be really great. All right.
So the format, I will provide pulled pork, chicken, and water, and members will be somewhere between welcome and encouraged to bring sides, desserts, and non-alcoholic beverages to supplement.
Yep. Sounds good.
Oh, and anyone is welcome.
Yes.
Member, non-member, family, spouse, neighbor, mortal enemy, whoever.
Sounds good. Next, the AP SIG. Bill said there's no meeting this month due to travel and stuff like that that's going on. Our next meeting is June 13th. Bill, did you want to say anything else to that?
The detailed announcement will go out over groups.io, das.groups.io, a few days ahead of the meeting. And it'll also go to AP SIG members directly.
Okay, good then. Next thing is the Astronomical League. Bob?
As a member of DOS, you get the option of joining the Astronomical League. It's $9 a year. So what is the Astronomical League? It's a group that fosters astronomical education, provides incentives for observing, and provides communication between societies. So DOS is a member of the Astronomical League, and as such, you're eligible to join the Astronomical League if you wish. Probably the biggest thing they're known for is these observing programs. They have about more than 65 observing programs of all different levels, beginner, more advanced. Some of them are imaging, some are just sketching. And they cover all sorts of different topics: Messier objects, Herschel objects, Galileo objects. They cover everything. So if you go on their website, you can see all sorts of different things. Perhaps the most common one that they're known for is their outreach. They try to promote outreach events, and so if you do 25 hours of Woodside Creamery or Friday Night Lights and you keep track of those things, you get to 25 hours, you get a nice little pin and a certificate. If you keep track of that, send it in and are a member. You also get this magazine 4 times a year, the Reflector magazine. It's a nice little magazine. But so those are the advantages of joining the Astronomical League. They go July to July. So we're in the process of collecting anyone who wants to join. We usually get about 20 members from DOS to join. Should have gotten an email this afternoon from me outlining the number of different ways. There's a bunch of PayPal links as usual. You can pay in person at meetings or board any the Tuesday workshops and give it to any board member. Or if there's a mailing address, you can mail it to me if you're interested in joining. But we'll try to collect them all before July 1st, because I try to pay that bill on July 1st. That's
very good. Thank you. All right, real quick, another announcement. The elections are currently ongoing for the board of directors. Hopefully you should have received your email ballot from Sydney Ocampo, who's setting that up and is our elections chair. That election will end at the end of May, so make sure you vote as soon as you can if you have not done so yet. If you did not receive your ballot, please contact Sydney for details.
It's going to be a tight race. Every vote counts.
Very, very. Yes, absolutely.
Redistrict?
Yeah, it's like gerrymandering pull out all the stops. I voted 4 times already. My dead grandmother's voted twice.
Vote early and vote often. Right.
Sure victory.
Yep. Next, Mary, did you have anything for the book club?
Yes, everyone should have received an invitation via email to the May meeting of the Delaware Astronomical Society Book Club. We will be holding the meeting on Thursday, May 28th via Zoom at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we started planning this meeting last year. It's a discussion of a book, From the Laboratory to the Moon, The Quiet Genius of George R. Crothers by Dr. David H. Dvorkin, one of the most eminent science historians in our country, historians of astronomy in particular. And he comes, Dr. Dvorkin comes regularly to the book club meetings, and everyone stops to listen very intently to anything that he says, because not only can he speak to the subject, but he's often met the people and interviewed them for the records at the Smithsonian. So he wrote the book. It's an open source document. I've sent you links to that document, so it won't cost you any money to download it and to read it in whole or in part. Dr. Dvorkin has already sent us a 45-minute video, which we'll be playing, about the life and work of Dr. Crothers. And then we'll follow that with questions and answers. I have some additional guests who will be attending the meeting. Dr. Stephen McCandless of Johns Hopkins University will present his research in ultraviolet astronomy, the subject matter of Dr. Crothers' work and instrumentation inventions, and the continuing scientific legacy of Crothers' pioneering work in far ultraviolet astrophysics. So he's going to bring us current on the subject matter. And then while reading the book, I noticed that Dr. Dvorkin stated that George Crothers was influenced as a young boy by the stories of Buck Rogers. And so I reached back out to friend Diane McDevitt, who has joined the book club in the past. We read the first Buck Rogers comet and brought Diane in to talk about it. She's the granddaughter of Philip Francis Nolan, who is the creator of Buck Rogers. And she regaled us with the most extraordinary presentation with material that very few people have ever seen about her grandfather. And so I sent her an email, and I sent her the quote from Dr. Dvorkin's book about the influence of Buck Rogers on Dr. Crothers. And she collects all of these and has a presentation that she gives about the influence of science fiction on scientists. And so she will be joining us, and she will be talking about her grandfather's influence on the work. And then our meeting will, of course, start with our poet laureate, David Levy, reciting a poem, which has become one of the most treasured moments of our book club. And also, our guests will include members of the National Society of Black Physicists. I didn't realize that there was such a group, but there is, and rightfully so. And they will be joining us. And we've invited members of the Crothers Geocorona observatory team. They're very busy right now because their project has launched, but we may snag somebody from their team. And then I attended a lecture recently about the history of the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture at the New York Public Library. And the lecture was delivered by Barry Brown, a curator at the Schomburg. And if you've never seen images of the entrance to the Schomburg, it's an extraordinary place architecturally and their collections. And Barry's going to join us because it turns out that they have a portrait collection of George Crothers. And so she's going to join us and probably say a few words about that. So it should be a very good meeting and very unique, with some very interesting guests. And if you've not received an invitation, if for some reason you're not on my list, please email librarian@delastro.org and I will add you to the list. Your guests are also always welcome to join us. That's how we build our society and educate the public in the history of astronomy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Excellent. All right. That concludes the announcements portion of the meeting. Now,
Upcoming outreach?
oh, he said there weren't any.
Oh, okay. Just Woodside?
Woodside.
There's nothing else?
Yes.
Okay, just a quick heads up. We do have a Woodside event this Saturday. It's not looking promising, but keep your eye on the email.
Oh, very good. All right. So again, that concludes the announcements portion of the meeting. What we're going to do now is something kind of interesting. So for many, many years, we've done the awards for the Amateur Astronomer of the Year and the Luther Porter Award at the meeting that we've traditionally had, with the dinner meeting and speaker and the big event and stuff like that. This year, we're not doing a dinner meeting. So we thought we should still do this. We should still do the awards because it's kind of wrong not to. So we are doing that this evening as part of the mini talks. And we're going to start with the awards. I'll start with the Amateur Astronomer of the Year. So I have that right here. And this member has been involved with the DAS for several years. He's done quite a lot of really great stuff recently. He's made a lot of announcements of interesting events that are taking place in astronomy and the world of aerospace. It's been really great how he's informed the club about all these great details. He's also informed the club every single month with the publication of the Focus.
Blow it up.
Yeah.
So I wonder who it is.
Got it. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, boy.
Yep, there he is. So we'd like to thank you, Andy, for all the wonderful work you've been doing.
Thank you, sir.
Well deserved.
Thanks for all the great work, Andy.
Thank you. I am honored and humbled. It's a pleasure.
Very good.
Thank you.
Right. And the second award that we have this evening is the Luther Porter Educator Award. So this award is typically given to an educator who's made a significant difference in the local area in regards to astronomy.
The Luther Porter Award is in honor of Luther Porter, a former DAS member and educator himself. And I believe the story is after his passing, a fund was created in his honor to acknowledge the contributions of folks that have done gone above and beyond to educate the public about astronomy. Because from what I understand, I unfortunately never got to meet Luther, but he was all about it.
Yep, me neither. Don't know.
Okay, so this is from the 50th anniversary celebration. So DAS created in 1999 the Luther J. Porter Educator Award to be presented to an individual who has been a strenuous advocate of and active participant in astronomy education and or related subjects to the larger community over a significant period of time. And Luther was born in Wilmington. He went to Howard High School class of 1925, valedictorian. And he taught mathematics for over 30 years, and mathematics and civics at Howard High School. And during his 31-year retirement, Luther pursued his favorite pastimes, bridge, reading, and astronomy. And what did he say? Speaking of Luther Porter, DAS member Harry Shipman stated, "My receipt of the Luther Porter Award is one I am most proud. There are those who spend days studying stars in front of computers, but Luther reminds us that stargazing began in backyards with telescopes and fascination."
And thank you, Andy.
That's very nice. Yes, and that shows why we have a club, because I wasn't prepared to say all that. So thank you very much, Andy, for that. All right, so I want to introduce a little bit about the person who's going to be the recipient. So this individual has made a big difference in the local area. This is a DAS member this time, which is unusual. Most of the time we go outside the DAS, but this individual has made a huge impact on the local area, actually all across the state, in fact, getting all the various libraries in the state to have a telescope for loan for little kids and all sorts of folks to borrow and learn about astronomy, which is really awesome. She spearheaded this huge effort. All these DAS members got together and worked really hard to produce these telescopes, get them all to these libraries, and now they have a whole loaning program involved with that. But in addition to her work with that, she also has organized the book club for a long time now. Is it 10 years? I'm not really sure. It's been a long time. And she gets all kinds of wonderful people to come into the book club from all around the country. She gets all these famous people in astronomy, the authors of the books. So many great people come to the book club just for that. And it's really great because that's increased the standing of the Delaware Astronomical Society, and that has greatly assisted our educational outreach to the community. So I think that's really great. And in addition to that, she's also our librarian. So she manages our library, which is also educational in nature. So any DAS member can borrow the library books from our library at any time and be educated. So we think she's an excellent Luther Porter Educator Award recipient. And Mary? She's still there.
Rob,
There we go. I'm going to try to pin this on you. She is the recipient of this award, and you can see it right there.
oh, well, thank you very much. That's just wonderful. Thank you. I'm truly honored. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's
if I can-
definitely a great thing, and we definitely appreciate you.
Oh, well, thank you. It's an honor to be a member of the group, and it's a great joy of my life to be a member of the Delaware Astronomical Society. And some of the most magical evenings I've ever spent have been at the observatory, in small groups talking about the history of astronomy, and next to that beautiful antique telescope in that beautiful observatory. So it's a magical place, and they're magical people. Do I have a moment to talk about William Poole?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make everyone aware that I'm probably just a few weeks away from submitting an application for an historic marker to commemorate the life and work of the person I believe is Delaware's first resident astronomer, William Poole. And William Poole, and we'll be submitting that in conjunction with the Woodlawn Trust. William Poole Bancroft was the founder of the Woodlawn Trust in Delaware. And he is the great grandson of William Poole, the astronomer. He was born in 1729 in Bucks County. He moved in the 1750s with his family to Wilmington. He was a Quaker. He was a brandy wine miller. And in 1768, he became one of the first members of the American Philosophical Society after it had merged from the American Society and the Philosophical Society. And he went on to serve on the 1769 Transit of Venus Committee. And I've been working with a surveyor in England who has he was involved with the identification of the transit of Venus observation site in Lewis, Delaware. His name is Geoff Thurston, and he's very adept at looking at surveys. And I've also been working with Jill Myers, a surveyor in Newark, Delaware, to identify. And we've come up with a site on the Christina, not on the Brandywine, because we figured out that you could see Venus during the day straight above, but if you wanted to see the full transit, he would want to be looking toward the west, and he would gain the best view out on the Christina. So, and that's what the transit lines are showing. The Christina was a very active port with wharves, and in the 1760s, William Poole was serving on wharf committees, so he knew the wharfs well. And his in-laws were the Shipleys, the founders of Wilmington, Delaware, people say, the Quaker founders. And they had shipping interests and wharf interests. So we have all of the documents lined up that I could find. We have his will. In his will, speaking of a library and books, he had a list of books that he wanted specifically donated to the Wilmington Academy. And they included Halley's astronomical tables and a copy of Bion. It was a very well-known, it was the scientific instrument, mathematical instrument book for the 18th century. And those two books and his manuscripts were gifted to the Wilmington Academy. So it's just been really thrilling to uncover more about him. One of the projects for the Delaware Astronomical Society is a survey of Delaware astronomers and their instruments. If you come across any names of astronomers throughout the history of your reading, throughout the history of this country, since its involvement as America, going back to the age of the explorers, or even into the or Aboriginal Indian periods, we're interested in adding that information onto our survey so that we can collect it, because many people don't realize there is this rich history. We have William Poole in the 18th century participating in what is called the greatest scientific collaboration of the 18th century, because it wasn't just about observing the transit, it was about collecting the data, data science, collecting it together and being able to calculate, using all of those combined measurements, the distance from the Earth to the sun, and then using that measurement to the planets, and to gain a sense of the size of the solar system. So it was a magnificent project. And one of our local Quaker millers, who was a what we would call, there were no professional astronomers, an amateur astronomer, participated, and his observational data was contributed to that project, and he served on the committee. So we should be very proud of that. And the Historic Commission has already expressed interest in the plaque. So I think we're going to move forward with that. So I did want to share that with you. If anybody's interested in working on the survey, please reach out and let me know. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the award.
Well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, you might put it right.
Point of view.
So next up, Jay, you have some things to share about some telescopes. Do you want to make yourself prominent?
Sure.
That'll work.
Yes.
Yeah, right there is fine. But make yourself comfortable.
So, obviously I might be preaching to the choir with this a little bit. But I have a
Quick introduction.
What's that?
Quick introduction.
Quick introduction of my name, I guess.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, I can
turns. I've been a member for a little bit, but on and off. I haven't been attending until recently for a while, just due to life issues. I have several telescopes. I used to have a 10-inch Dobsonian that I actually sold to the club as a donor scope or whatever. But yeah, I just have an obsession with trying to find a decent view for a budget price. And obviously I'm sure we're all accustomed to that. And my first telescope was a 102 millimeter refractor at f6. Short tube, achromat, had some color in it, but it was quite nice, especially with the fact that once I got a teleview panoptic, it had 3 3/4 field of view or apparent or true field of view. And yeah, it just kind of led me down the road of refractors, especially with it being one with good equatorial mount. It just disappears. So I ended up wrote a little bit, tried to keep on topic, I guess. But like I said, as we know, it's not the cheapest hobby, and more so if you choose the refractor route. The department store scopes tend to be refractors and whatnot, and end up being a cheap lens on a cheap mount. Sometimes a plastic lens I've seen, and it just ends up confusing and frustrating beginners. My very first telescope was one of those very cheap refractors. I don't even call it a telescope because it's a toy. But anyhow, it's one of those hobby killers or whatever. But so we go with the 6-inch f8 Dobsonian because that is one of the cheaper budget telescopes, but it actually gives you a nice view due to the size of the aperture, the length of the focal length, focal ratio being slower. It's a lot more forgiving on collimation and eyepieces and whatnot. But if you want to go the refractor route, like I said, smaller and a little bit sometimes more difficult to mount and whatnot. But I found that some of the ones that you see on like eBay, Craigslist and whatnot that come in a wooden case, they tend to be actually good. They're a lot smaller than you want. I mean, 2 inches is not a lot of aperture, but they tend to be a long focal ratio and they just end up putting up good views. Plus, nobody puts a wooden case together to put a crappy telescope inside of it. And some of those mounts were actually halfway decent for what they were. But they often come with the 965 eyepiece or the 965 focuser, which is very difficult to accommodate for beginners or, get them to an adapter or a new focuser, whatever. Unless you come across a Unitron or a Mayflower, which obviously I've heard is basically if it's good price, you buy it. But anyhow, onto scopes with modern size focusers. Celestron had several refractors, and I actually have one of them, the 80 millimeter, with a I think it was an f11 achromat. Again, long focal length, and apparently a Vixen-made lens cell. There's Halloween tube, I believe they call them, whatever. They're decent. They come with a Super Polaris or the Polaris mount. But yeah, they actually end up making, well, the CO102F, I should mention anyhow, just because that's a classical scope that came with a fluorite lens. And it tends to pop up every so often for a halfway decent price. But anyhow, Celestron ended up making XLT Omni XLT refractors, 102 and a 120 on the Celestron CG4. It's a halfway decent equatorial mount. The 120 is at its weight limit on that mount, but if you're good with 2 second, 3 second settle down times, it is a halfway decent refractor that you can actually have for under $500. If you get used for brand new, I think it's 800 something with the mount and everything, which I think is a pretty dang good deal for 4 3/4 refractor. But anyhow, Mead also came out with some good ones. The Mizar 8 or was it 320? I think it was. It was an 80 millimeter, and their Affinity series, I have one of them, one or two. And they're very good for what they are. But yeah, and then onto the ED refractors that are starting to come out now. They are a little bit more higher priced than the 500, especially once you add them out. But you can find them used for a decent price. And I've had the Astrotech 80 millimeter. It was a little bit colorful if you pushed its magnification on a bright object. But it was a decent 80 millimeter. And just recently I picked up a 120 Orion Eon. And I don't know how to put numbers to a star test, but I did a star test the other night, and it was just bright white on Vega with a little bit of blue fringe on the outside, and inside and outside focus was absolutely identical. And for a scope that was under $1,000, I am just, floored. But yeah, sorry to ramble too long, but like I said, it's with the refractor hobby, it's a lot more expensive, and I don't see too many suggestions as far as refractors, as far as cheap refractors. And of course, they're mostly Chinese made, but they're decent.
Cool.
So
Thank you, Jay. It is a good point. I mean, I'd say as a club as a whole, we tend to be very Dob focused. And I think we need to remind ourselves that, there's a place for everything. So appreciate you complimenting with your passion for refractors. Next up.
Oh, and I should add that the 6-inch f8 will show you that much and more as a refractor, and definitely less color if you have a more budget achromat. But yeah, the 6-inch f8, the one that I've looked at, actually the 12 one, showed just as much as detail as the 120. But yeah. And
Cool.
cheaper.
Thanks. Next up, interesting story. New-ish member, Taylor Federline, joined the club 6 to 8 months ago, a year maybe.
A little over a year.
A little over a year. And around that time, more or less, we got the donation of a really interesting telescope that we thought would be a great addition to our loaner program. Taylor would come up on Tuesdays with some questions, and we would answer his questions, and he was asking some great questions and coming up to speed tremendously. And we realized that Taylor's questions and this newly donated scope were getting closer and closer and closer. And so Taylor adopted the telescope for a little while, got to learn how to use it, its ins and outs, software, hardware, all that good stuff, and became a pretty good expert at it. And so Taylor is up next. He's going to give us a little demo of, really it's a mount and some optical tubes, plural, which is a loaner gear. I put it in the what we call maybe advanced loaner. It's not like one of our Dobs, which will pretty much just hand to somebody because you can train someone to use a Dob in about 5 minutes. This takes a bit more training, but what's unique about this telescope is it is a computerized telescope with Go-To, but because of a particular accessory, it makes that Go-To way easier than any Go-To system I've ever worked with. So before I ruin all the surprises, Taylor, take it away.
One day I woke up, I said, "Oh, I want to do telescopes again." So that's where I'm coming from. And I would like to describe what I've done, okay? Knowing full well that I'm not an expert, and these guys couldn't correct me or add additional information, anything I'm going to tell you. Everything I'm going to tell you is I've done on my own, all right? Just by the research and the questions that I had for Rob and Jeff. So the first thing I did was, I borrowed this mount, and I had this Maxitov telescope, and I had no idea how to use it. Okay, and I got a cardboard box with stuff in it.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I didn't even know what that stuff was. Anyway, the first thing I did was I sorted everything out, and I kind of looked up and saw what everything was. Okay, and I didn't really actually know what it did yet, but what I did was I organized everything into 6 boxes, or 6 compartments, okay? And you got them here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you guys are interested in borrowing this telescope and this mount, these are the boxes you will need. If you don't have all these boxes, you don't have all the stuff, okay? And every single box is complete. All the boxes have little, like this black box here. If there's an empty space in that box, something is missing. All right, so you gotta be careful as to what it is. And in order for you to determine, what may be missing, this took me a while, but I'm a big guy for instructions and writing manuals, okay? I put together a manual for building the whole thing and putting it together step by step with all the different boxes. All right, so this manual is your Bible for putting this whole thing together. I'm going to go through it and show you basically what it is. And many of you probably already know this already, but I had no idea what I was doing. And frankly, if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. Okay, it's really not that terribly complicated. I had to figure it out, but now you have a little bit of advantage because you have the manual for putting it together here. And there's all sorts of chapters in here with all the equipment that comes with it. So you have the instructions for putting everything together. I simplified a 22-page manual for the Star Sense, which is the heart of the go-to system. You have the paragraph. You don't really need 22 pages to use this thing. There are features in here I don't even know about probably, and I have no need to use them because I'm very happy with using it just the way it is. And there's the Star Sense instructions. It's really kind of simple to use, and it's sort of turnkey. So anyway, the first step is building the mount. Okay, and the mount is a Celestron AVX, and the tripod comes with this. And the tripod is basically all complete, and then you have to have the spreader over here. The spreader comes in this box over here, and all this is listed in the manual as to where all this stuff is. There's a spreader. I have a little circuit board holding it in, but don't fly all over the place. Okay, and putting it together is pretty simple. This thing doesn't come apart. All you do is just take that thing, put it up there, screw this thing into the mount, and do this over here. And here's the head. This is the heart of the unit here. Basically, you take this thing, and it's in here. Right in here. Okay. And you put it on top of the mount. There's a little pin in there, and there's a little area where the pin goes in the center of it. And it's in these 2 things, and this sets the orientation for going left and right, or I don't know what that is.
Yep.
Azimuth.
Azimuth.
Yeah.
Okay, and that'll set the telescope. Just make sure when you put it in there, these things are out, and you put them in. Okay, and you rotate one in, the other one out, and it moves it left and right. Okay, so you put that thing on there. And one of the downsides of this, it's kind of looks nice. The problem is it's black, right? And guess what? It's always at night when you're taking this thing out. It's very hard to see all the plugs and the things that go in there. So, with my trusty flashlight and everything, I plug everything in. All of the outlets in here and all the plugs have to be filled in. I guess that's the first thing you really want to find out, okay? You have a hand controller that goes in this plug over here, and surprise, surprise, the plug that says HC. Oh, what does that stand for? Could it be hand controller? Yes. Okay, then you have the GPS that goes into aux1, okay? And then you have Star Sense, which goes in aux2. It doesn't really matter which one you go in, aux1 or aux2, but the hand controller has got to go in the hand controller port. The other 2 are interchangeable. So that's it. And then this thing, I always had trouble with this. I couldn't find it tonight. I haven't done it for a couple of weeks. This is the declination wire. there's a plug right over here and it plugs in right over here. It's only 6 inches away. I could have read my own manual. In my own manual, it actually says it's no more than 6 inches from the plug, but I was kind of pressed for time and I didn't.
Maybe a little piece of that glow in the dark tape or something would help, you know.
It could, but
Mhm.
once you know where it is.
Yeah.
And if you read the manual, it says, it's, you know, it's right up above at 6 inches and it's in the manual.
And highly encourage setting it up in the daylight and then wait for it to get dark.
Here's what
But you know, ideal sometimes goes out the window and we've all been there.
I agree. And what I did was, when I first put it together, in my basement. And I looked at everything and I kind of knew where everything was, you know, when I put it together in my basement. And, yeah, if you do this at night for the first time, you'll never get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just won't work. But if you do it following the instructions, and the instructions are pretty complete, and I also like to say is, you know, I wrote these things, you know, in the best of my ability and my infinite wisdom, I think they're good for me. If someone borrows this thing and they don't like them, it's a Word document. I can add, you know, delete, change, or do anything I want with this document. And I'd be very happy to change it if someone else, I would love to have somebody else borrow this thing and use all this stuff and, you know, just validate what I did. For me, I know because I know how to use it now, but it's somebody who doesn't know anything about it should be able to, you know, read that and put this whole thing together. So I have that. There's a bunch of telescopes that go on this thing, okay? This is the Maxitov, which is a great planetary scope. It's
About 2,000 millimeters, so very long focal length, high magnification.
It's very, very good. This is Brandon. You can put this on it. And you all have the
This is the club's 92 or 4. I always get it mixed up. 94 millimeter Brandon. Ah, there we go. This is a 94 millimeter apochromatic refractor, which is of very, very high quality unless I drop everything.
Yeah,
This is a 94 millimeter F. I forget the F ratio, but effectively it's about an 800.
7.5.
There we go. But it's about like, I think, an 800 millimeter focal length. So it's kind of a neat contrast because you've got about a 2,000 millimeter and you've got about an 800 millimeter to get the two extremes. Any other telescope could go on there. That mount can hold about 30 pounds. So if you have your own telescope, you can use that as well.
This is a really nice scope. I've used the Maxitov on this mount. I've used this on the mount. Need 2080. I put that on the mount. They all work great. The mount handles Los Mandy and Vixen mounts, and so it handles just about anything. I love this telescope. This thing is so nice. It's better than, in my opinion, better than this, and it's better than the 2080. So I bought an Explore Scientific 127, which I think is better than this. It's another refractor, so it's quite a nice scope. Okay, and that's what I've been. I bought another mount for, you know, for that, but I could have easily. And
Well, the equipment you bought was largely inspired by this gear.
It was.
Yeah.
It was inspired by this.
Right.
I went, oh, this thing is cool. This thing, it was clearer, sharper, it had a darker background than this one or the 2080 that I have. And this is purely subjective, but that's what it is. So I'm going to show you and demonstrate this, but everything else with all the other telescopes is basically identical, except the telescope will be a little bit different. Okay, so I told you about the mount. Put the mount on. I put this thing on. So this is heavy, very heavy for the telescope. Okay, and the mount will handle it just fine. The problem with that I have, I'm 75 years old. I don't have the strength I used to have. So you need 2 counterweights for it in order to work. It makes it very heavy. Okay.
The whole system is what you mean.
The whole system.
The whole system gets
The
heavy.
whole system gets very, very heavy. So what I did is I bought the Explore Scientific, I bought the carbon fiber. The whole thing weighs 14 pounds. This weighs about 22 pounds. And since it weighs 22 pounds, you need all this extra weight here. And I'll show you in a minute how to balance the thing and how I balance the thing. But it's really, really heavy. I have trouble picking this thing up. What I did was, and I think the club should think about this, they may not want to, is I kept this in my garage. I have a pretty big garage, okay? And I bought these little furniture movers from, I forget what they were, the three-wheel things. I put one there, one there, one there. I put it in my garage. I just roll it out of my garage. It works perfectly. My only problem with this thing, it's so freaking heavy, and Jeff saw my driveway. I have a slope driveway. I have trouble pushing it up because this darn thing is so heavy. However, with the other telescopes, it's a lot lighter and a lot easier to move around. So, you know, that's just my opinion, but the telescope itself is fabulous. And this thing has really got, if you wanted to look at planets, this is a great planetary telescope. Okay, it's got a TELRAD. Everybody here knows what a TELRAD is. And you need the TELRAD because with the star sense, okay, you have to match the star sense to the telescope. And I found that the only way to do that is to use the TELRAD first, okay? And so you need that. And this is all part of the stuff that you can borrow. So nothing, you don't have to buy anything for this whole system. This thing just slides in like this, back and forth. It's kind of easy. And this thing plugs into your AX port here. So the first thing you want to do, you put the telescope on and you have to balance it, okay? And balancing it is pretty easy. You just take these things here. This balances it like this, okay? And if it doesn't balance, okay, you just take this and you just move it, you know, down like that, so it balances this way, okay? So it needs to be balanced. If it's not balanced, it'll still work, or you put a lot of strain on the motors. You don't want to do that. You want to keep it as balanced as much as you can, okay? That's balancing it. Is that right axis or declination?
That's all right.
Right, all right.
Okay, it's right axis. So, like I say, I'm not an expert. I know what it is, but I may get the terminology wrong, okay? And then you got to balance it this way too, okay? So this is the, that's already, this has got to be declination.
There you go.
Okay, so this, the way you balance this is just move it on this thing, and it comes here with some reference points here. You can see they're a little bit off. Okay, the reason why they're off is I didn't put the eyepiece in. The more stuff you put in here, the more you can move this. And these little dials here, you just loosen them and shift this thing on the mount, and you shift it the way you need. There are two sides for this. You have, they go on this side for the Los Mandy mount, and then there's other screws on the other side. I have some screws in here, just a hole, just so I don't have any open holes in it. And you just shift these. I think they're metric eights. All right, you just shift. I put these in here because you didn't have them, so I just put them in here just for the sake of it.
Protects the threads.
Yeah, I don't like the thread, so I just have a bunch of metric stuff at home. So for some reason they were missing. So if you have another telescope, I think this has a mix. This has a mixin now. So you just flip this around. You take these, put them on the other side. You take those and put them on the side, and it works pretty well. So now you've got the whole thing all set up. You've got it all balanced. It doesn't have to be perfectly balanced. And the research that I did, but some people actually say it should be a little tiny bit off balance, tiny, okay? And the reason why is that they say it works a little better if it's just a little off balance. Me, I like to balance it, okay? Something else that I did, and there's a lot of different opinions on this. I read all this stuff and it says you have to level the telescope, okay? There's a lot of information about leveling the telescope, but I'm not sure it really has to be leveled that much. I actually looked at some YouTubes and this guy did an experiment leveling the telescope. He says, look, I'm going to make it like 20 degrees off. It still worked, all right? But this particular unit, I don't know who made this. I think it was made on a printer.
Yeah.
It fits right in here, okay? And it works perfectly. Okay, and you know, if somebody says to me, well, it should be level, I level. You know, I don't care. It takes 2 seconds to level. Okay, you stick that thing in there like that. You take these little things, you just shift them all around, and it levels pretty simple. I level it anyway, and it works. I never really tried to experiment how far off level it could be and still work, but I level it. Okay. So here I am, I take it outside, I got it all built up and all ready to go. The SkySync is a GPS that plugs in there, that tells you the time and it tells you the latitude and longitude. And frankly, guys, I'm lazy. I don't want to plug in on my latitude and longitude, and I don't want to look at my watch and put in the sidereal time. I think it's Greenwich Mean Time -4 now. But I don't want to do that. So I'm glad this came with this, and the amount that I bought one too, because I'm lazy. I don't want to do it. It doesn't matter. And it just plugs into there. Okay. So the first thing you do before you turn anything on is you have to polar align an equatorial map. You guys probably know, polar alignment. In this particular one, you just go like this. The reason why you do this is because they say you don't want your head hitting the telescope when you look through the polar scope. If you kept it like this, okay, and when I first started doing this, I was looking through the polar scope and went, I can't see anything, So
it's not hitting your head, it's opening up a hole in the axis.
well, I know, that's the idea, it's opening up the hole, but what I read was they did it like that, so people didn't go down and hit their head, but that opens it up. That's what they say on the internet. I'm always schlepping around on the internet looking for stuff, because I figured, why would they do something like that? But that's what they do. So this thing comes with a bunch of polar scopes, okay? So what you do is, and I didn't do this at first, but then I said, you know what? It's really not that hard. I get down like this and I sit down and the polar scope is here. Okay. And there's a lighted reticule in here. You don't have to turn the light on. The batteries are very expensive in here. And if you leave the thing turned on, they go dead very quick. You know how I know that? Because I bought new batteries for it. It cost me like $10 because I stupid. I left the damn thing on. Anyway, you don't really have to turn it on. You can turn it on and it looks kind of good. This is the Meade polar scope. We have a Celestron polar scope in there. And to be honest with you, I was all like, I'm bothered and frustrated about doing this. But the Meade polar scope, and you guys, if I'm doing anything terribly wrong, please tell me.
You're doing great.
I don't know what I'm doing. Okay?
You sure have us fooled.
It has something like this. Okay? Okay, and then there's the Big Dipper someplace here, I don't know. And then there's another thing.
Cassiopeia.
Like that, okay? Okay? And there's a full 2 pages of instructions for using this thing, rotating it with all these dials and everything else. And I said, man, that's an awful complicated thing. Well, it ain't that complicated. All you have to do, and all I did, and I did experiment with this, is you get Polaris, you look through here, okay, and you find Polaris. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And Polaris, you can go with the azimuth, just back and forth, okay. You set this thing down on the ground, you level it, and then you get it sort of like north, okay, close, because you can see Polaris. It's pretty easy to sit. Okay, if you can't find Polaris, just take your old telephone and go up there and look for it. But where I am, I can see it really easy. Okay, so what I do is you get Polaris, okay, and I just put it on this line over here. I don't care if this line is this way or that way. I kind of keep it vertically. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. However, if I put Polaris here, okay, or I put it here, or I put it here, it all works.
Yeah. The reality is, if Polaris is anywhere in that view, for visual purposes especially, it's going to be fine.
Okay, so that's the answer, okay?
If you're doing photography, maybe a different story, but emphasis is even on maybe.
Okay, so I was very happy because I don't have to fool around with it and everything. So that's what I did. Okay, and every time I use it, I go through the same process and doing Polaris. Okay, doing left and right is easy because all you have to do is you have to loosen one of these things. and then tighten another one, it'll go that way and that way. Doing the
Altitude,
the altitude,
altitude.
okay, doing the altitude, you have to be careful because this happens. This telescope is very heavy. Dropping it is easy. All you do is take this.
And maybe lowering, not dropping. It's easy to drop it.
Yeah, I'd say that. Lowering it is very easy, okay? Raising it is not so easy. So what you really have to do to raise it is you have to hold it like this and then just do it like that. If you try to raise it without picking it up with your hand, you can't do it, okay? It seems like something's, because it's heavy, okay? But if you just go like this and raise it and lower it, you got it. So doing the polar scope is really not that difficult to do, okay? Once you get it polar aligned, okay? What I also do then is I adjust this thing. If you put different telescopes and all the telescopes have the Telrad mounts on them, you got to match the Telrad with the telescope, okay? Because it's important because this camera has to be matched to the telescope that you're using, okay? So when I do that, I usually do it when I'm doing Polaris and like anything else. You know, when you put these things on, you're touching it, you're going to turn things inadvertently and you're going to set it off. So I set Polaris on with the telescope, I center it in the Telrad, and I center it in the eyepiece with a wide field of view eyepiece, and that's really all you have to do. The Telrad has such a wide field of view that it's easy to do. But that's important, and I'll tell you why it's important in a minute, because this thing needs to be aligned to the sky. And this is where this thing really shines. Because I remember when I was a kid, I had so many problems with the equatorial mount, finding things and getting it right. This thing makes it really pretty easy. It's almost like turnkey. So now what we've done is we're going to turn on the telescope. You guys have this, okay? It's a portable battery, okay?
Mhm.
When I got this telescope, I didn't know this existed, okay? So I had.
didn't either.
Yeah. I had a wire extending from my front of the house all the way to the front of my yard. It was like 50 feet, you know? And they do, if you don't have that, what you have it now is they have a power supply here and they have a cord that you can plug in. And it's a pain in the ass going from your house all the way out there and plugging this thing in. Well, what I bought was, I told my wife that, she bought me a Jackery. You know, and the Jackery, she said, you know, it's about $250. I don't know what it was. This thing draws so little current, by the way, it's kind of interesting. The Jackery, I've had that thing, I had it a long time. And I never charged up my Jackery, okay, because it always would work. So this thing is about half the capacity of the Jackery, but frankly, it's so much better. You get a little plug here, and it goes into here, turns in over here, and
The battery will run that scope for hours, right?
It'll run it for a long time.
Yeah.
It'll run it for a very long time. I'm not sure how old that battery is, but I will tell you, I've run it on this thing for quite a period of time, and this thing just said, you have different speeds and everything else. It works really good, okay? That's the way that thing works. And I'm not gonna go through all the features and stuff, tell you the basics. There's so much stuff in here. And I will tell you, the software here is not the most user-friendly, okay? You can use it, and I'll tell you what I've been doing with it, but there's a lot more involved and a lot of more things you can do with this controller. So I've already got a polar aligned and everything else. The next step is to use this little baby, okay? So the first thing you do is you take the cover off, obviously, okay? And that gets plugged in over there. And then I can't do it here because obviously we don't have anything to look at. But when you turn this thing on, it takes about 30 seconds to a minute to turn the camera on and to turn the GPS on. So you gotta be a little bit patient. And there's a little zipper going by, okay, that tells you when it's ready. And I will tell you this, when the temperature is above 40 degrees, it works great. When the temperature is below 40 degrees, these LEDs, I don't know, they don't work in the cold too well. I don't know what's going on. The contrast diminishes. The colder it gets, and what happens is they don't, it's hard to explain. They don't come up and fade, and they just keep coming across. They don't fade out. When the temperature goes up, I have no trouble reading this thing. When the temperature is really low, okay, this thing, it's very difficult to read and find. Okay, that's just with the zipper. However, they make this little, and you guys can do that. They make these little heating pads for it. They said you put a heating pad on, it'll work. So,
Put a little hand warmer and rubber band it to the back and that'll work too.
I think that'll work.
Yeah.
But I could still use it. It wasn't the most used, you know, I'm reading it, but it did work. Okay, so once it's ready, okay, you follow the instructions in the manual, okay, and all you really need to do, okay, you put everything up. You've got a polar line. It'll say polar align your telescope. Well, we polar aligned it already, so we're all ready to go. Okay, then you hit something called align. Okay, and then the magic happens. Okay, this thing will take, it'll scoot around the sky 4 times. Okay, it'll scoot around the sky. It'll find something. I don't know what it's doing. I can't explain what it's doing.
Magic.
But it's magic. Okay. It goes there and it says, oh, looking at the sky, and it says found 102 stars. So, looking up, I could see maybe 1 if I'm lucky. Found 102 stars, and it says analyzing or something like that. I forget what thing is. It says plate solving, and then it says finished. Okay, then it goes. That's 1. Then it goes across the sky. Number 2. Okay, does the same thing. Okay, then it goes someplace else across the sky. Number 3. Okay, and then it goes someplace else. Number 4. The whole process takes about 3 minutes. Okay,
And all automated. You're just sitting there watching it.
I'm just sitting there. I could be drinking a bourbon, and I'm just sitting there, just waiting for the thing to work. And then it says align complete. Okay, and I'm like, oh, that's great. But that's still not done yet. And there's something I still haven't figured out yet. If somebody is better than me that can figure this out, I can make it work, but I don't know how to save the settings. Okay, because you can put so many different telescopes on it. There is a feature in here, you can save the setting for the individual telescope. Okay, but I was never successful in saving and loading a setting. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I have to talk to Celestron about that. But if you put another telescope on, it's just one more step, okay?
Right.
It says align, and it says perfectly aligned. The next step, in order to make this thing communicate with this optically, okay, you need to go to a star. And I've used Betelgeuse, I've used Arcturus, I've used Castor, Pollux. I could use any star that I'm looking up there that I know where it is, that I know what it is. I put it up there. And that's why you need this thing, because you say, go to the star. It may not be in the field of the telescope, okay? But it will be in the field of the telescope, okay? So then you put this thing in and it says, center the star, okay? So it goes to a star. Let's say it's Sirius.
Let me just say, what he's describing right now, you only need to do if you're swapping from one telescope to another.
That's correct.
If you're staying with the same telescope, you don't need to do this part. So.
That is correct. Only when you swap telescopes, okay? So you go to Sirius, okay? And then you center it, and then it says coarse centering, fine centering. You coarse centering and fine centering. I'm kind of anal. My coarse centering is so centered. When I do fine, there's nothing else to do. But you got to go through the process, okay? Then, okay, now this is important, okay? Then you want to align the telescope again. You don't bring it back to Polaris. You start from where that star was, because I kept bringing it back to Polaris. it screwed up everything. You guys probably, I just learned this by doing it. So I said, align the telescope. It went through the 4 iterations all over again, starting with Sirius. Okay. And after that was done, the damn thing works perfectly. I mean, I could just tell it to go any place. I went, oh crap, it was dead on every single time.
So the key point is this whole routine is eliminating the need to doing manual 1, 2, or 3-star alignment, which, you know, is not the most difficult thing in the world, but for a beginner who might not know the sky, or Bill, Rob, and I have struggled to get scopes 3-star aligned. This makes it bulletproof. And it really makes it very easy.
I have a 3-star alignment on telescope because the Celestron that I got, you know, we got it working over here.
Mhm.
It's actually broken.
Oh, no.
I had to send it back to Celestron. And this is
Oh.
another one.
A third one?
The telescope mount was broken.
Yeah.
The Skyward mount was broken. The hand controller, there was something wrong with the hand
Oh,
controller.
gosh.
They glued on the window incorrectly.
Oh.
The top line you can't read.
Okay.
That's what we were looking
Yeah.
at. And I said, what the hell's going on here? I can't read the top line. And I called up Celestron and said, oh yeah, it's the defective unit. So I had to send, and they said, oh, we'll just send you the hand controller. They called me back and said, we can't just send you the hand controller. You got to send everything back.
Oh, geez.
So anyway, that's no problem. I'm just, you know, going to get the thing, but that thing works so good. I've used this thing at least with 1, 2, I've used it with 3 different telescopes. Okay. And every time I've done that, when I change the telescope, the secondary alignment process takes another 3 minutes. Everything, including wheeling this thing out of my garage and everything, I say takes 10 to 15 minutes max. It doesn't take a long time to do. Okay. And I have to do this alignment twice because I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong to save it. You can actually save this for the Maxitov, you can save it for the Brandon, and you can save it for another telescope. I think there's 8 or 10 different things you can save.
Yeah.
But I can't figure out, I can save it, I can't reload it. It keeps on freezing up.
Look into that, yeah.
Yeah, and I got to call Select. They're very helpful at Celestron. I mean, I write these people and they're very helpful and everything else. But I've been having a ball with this thing. This thing lasts forever. It takes like 3% of my capacity. I'm out there for 1.5, 2 hours. And when I do my visual, I don't know what anybody else does. I'm all over the place, you know. I look at a double star. I want to look at another double star. I want to look at a planet. I want to look at the moon. I want to look at this and that. I'm all over the place. Okay. Yeah. So I'm using up a lot of power. This particular unit doesn't really draw that much power. The Skywatcher draws like 3 times as much power as this thing does. So I think this thing will be great. And this battery makes it so much more user friendly.
It's the easiest, fastest learning curve go-to telescope I've ever worked with. I mean, it's really second only to the C-Star in user friendliness.
Yep. You're right. It's very close.
And it's great for visual. That's what Taylor's been focused on. But slap a DSLR in the back, and you've got a pretty easy, you know, mid-level astrophotography rig too. So
if you're going to look at Betelgeuse, how do you put that?
What's that?
Oh, when you look at Betelgeuse, when you just take the controller, okay, and you say stars. And
there's 3 main menus. It's solar system.
It says name stars.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's kind of clunky because it's in alphabetical order. So if you picked out a star starting with the letter Z, all right. I'm not so sure you can go backwards.
Yeah, you can go backwards.
Yeah, you go
up from the bottom.
Okay.
Easier.
But anyway, there's so many stars and there's a lot of stuff in there, like 42,000 things. You just find it, you gotta scroll down. But you just go through the thing and just say, go to Betelgeuse.
In a slightly different perspective, Rob and I have commented, we've worked with a lot of different hand controllers for a lot of different go-to scopes. Not to disagree with Taylor that the hand controller is clunky. That being said, all hand controllers are clunky, but this is the most user-friendly hand controller either one of us has ever worked with. Now, that might not the least clunky. So, if anyone's had any experience with telescope hand controllers, this is actually a really nice one. I get it. They all leave a lot to be desired,
This,
but
yeah.
nonetheless.
this telescope too, I actually did a little bit more research and called up, some people, and I got some advice on this thing. In that, you can't use, my mount, and even with this mount, you can't use the Wi-Fi with the GPS. The Wi-Fi and the GPS are not compatible. If you use the Wi-Fi,
Well, you don't need, if you're using one, you don't need the other.
well, that's true, but they don't, what I wanted to do is I wanted to have the GPS and use this and then take that off and then not use the hand controller, okay? Or if I wanted to see something cool, when you have the Celestron thing, it says good stuff to see tonight. I forget what it was, okay? So you can go to that. So the guy said, all you do is, he said, you take out your phone and you use the program, but you don't connect it to the telescope, and it'll say, oh, things to see tonight. Just look at it, and then you go to the hand control, you find that it's easier to find it on the hand control, but you find it here first,
Right.
because you know it's gonna be visible and it's gonna be available to you.
Well,
Because
what he's referring to is there's a Wi-Fi module that you can also plug in that allows you to operate the mount from your telephone, not the hand controller. I don't have as much experience with that, but it's there. Folks are welcome to try it.
I did use the Skywatcher, with the telephone and with the 1, 2, and 3 star alignment. I can't figure it out. This thing works like a charm. I don't have to figure anything out. It just works automatically. The thing on the other, I'll figure it out eventually, because that's what I do. I just want to figure it out, but this thing works so nicely and so beautifully. And the best thing about it was, you're a member of the club, you can borrow this and just take it home and use it.
Yep.
And the only thing I would ask is that if you have any suggestions or recommendations, just let me know. Everything is in here. The Star Sense manual is in here. There's tons of stuff you can do with it. I just do certain things. I look at double stars. I don't do too many deep sky objects because you can't really see them too well with what I have. And you have the GPS accessory. You have the dew shield. I've never used the dew shield, by the way. I know there's a use for them. And then you have all the instructions for the AVX in here if you have it. But all the instructions, the basic instructions for using everything is right here.
So just a note, later this summer, we can take a video of you explaining how to use this, and we can put that on our website along with the other tutorial videos on how to use our other runner gear.
All right,
So I want to get you to do that.
So key point for go-to telescopes, it's a really, really nice system, whether you want to use it for go-to visual or for some mid-level photography. There's a little more training than using a DOM, but Taylor has invested a lot of time to get to know it. He's got some great instructions. He's also willing to talk someone through. If someone wants to borrow it, probably the best thing would be to find a clear night and come on up here, and maybe Taylor or somebody else can build it up and go through the process together for the first time. It was a lot of steps. I appreciate the detail that Taylor explained in putting it all together. It's not as easy as a DOM. I won't kid anybody, but it's not that bad. And once you've practiced with it 1 or 2 times, you'll really get the hang of it.
Yeah, you're getting it very easy. And like I say, I have no problem. I have my telephone number here. If somebody borrows it, they have a question, just give me a buzz and I'll walk you through it. It's not a, what's the name of the power supply? This is.
I think it's a Celestron, isn't it?
This is a, no.
Orion.
Dynamo Pro. Okay. All
I
right.
think someone donated that to us, and we don't remember when or who, but we found it laying on the shelves and was like, oh, this will be perfect.
And I checked the voltage on it, and the voltage is pretty good. It goes right up to where it should be, so the battery's good.
High Point Scientific has Apatoros. Yeah, I actually have the exact same thing, but it's blue. And it actually has a little red flashlight on. I don't know if
It's basically the same thing. that
It's
this thing
exactly
has.
the same
Yeah.
thing.
It's the same manufacturer. They put a different name on it, a bell or whistle or two.
So if anyone would like to borrow this, again, it can be used with the Maxutov, it can be used with the Brandon, or it can be used with the telescope that you have. Anything, again, under about 30 pounds will be fine. Come up to a DAS officer, let them know. We'll get you the equipment, we'll get you some training, and we'll get you out there having fun with it. So Taylor, really cannot appreciate enough the effort and the investment that you've put into knowing this system, because I really do think this is going to make a fantastic loaner for the club. And the time that you've invested into getting to know it will pay dividends.
Well, thank you
So,
very much. It was more fun.
yeah. So Ryan Gilbert's going to talk about some really cool stuff he's been doing with the more advanced go-to scope that we have in the Solon. So Ryan, take it away. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, so I want to tell you all about a little project that I've been working on for maybe about the last month or so. This is just a brand new thing that I've kind of started with a little help from Jeff and Rob. So I don't have any final results from this yet, which means at the end, I do guarantee that you will all be left disappointed. It's going to be okay.
No, excited about the future.
Like a month or so ago, the question was brought up in the library in one of our Tuesday workshops. Can we as a club detect an exoplanet? Just a brief recap about how exoplanets are often detected these days. When a planet in a far star system crosses in between its star and our vantage point here on Earth, it blocks out a teeny bit of light from that star. And we see that as the brightness of that star briefly dipping down. I mean, this is a picture I took of that happening closer to home. This is our sun, and this is the transit of Mercury a couple of years ago. No one complained about it, but the sun did get a little bit dimmer that day. So this, but 100 light years away. So this process of measuring the amount of light emitted by a system over time is called photometry. And in the case of what I'm doing here, it's called differential photometry, which is just comparing the brightness of one star as it changes relative to the brightness of other stars, comparison stars nearby. So following this question, can we detect an exoplanet? Really, there's maybe 3 steps. First of all is taking a look at all the equipment we have in the Solon and figuring, like, does the club even own the stuff needed to do this kind of work? And then secondly, going right for an exoplanet might be kind of an ambitious first step. So as an intermediate, can we detect a variable star? Same process, it's just an astronomical object where the brightness is varying over time. And these can vary with a little bit more magnitude than the light curve difference of an exoplanet. So good intermediate step there. And then if that works, lastly, can we find ourselves an exoplanet?
4th step, Nobel Prize.
There you go. So the photometry device here is one that many of you are probably familiar with. This is the 12-inch f4 scope that's in the Solon. Our photon collector is the S-Big astronomical camera that's in there. And importantly, so I don't actually intend to go through every piece of equipment in detail here, but the important thing is it literally is all club equipment. The only thing that I brought was my laptop over there and just a spare monitor so I can control the thing. But this is fully club gear that we all have access to in the Solon. So right away, can club equipment perform photometry? Definitely yes. So the second part then, all right, great. Can we detect a variable star? To test this out, I went to the American Association of Variable Star Observers database, found myself a real easy one with that was well behaved, well studied, and it has a reliable period that's pretty quick. So this is the one that I tried. This is 2 nights ago. It was Sunday night, so real fresh stuff that I'm going to show you here. It has a period of 73 minutes, right? Like you don't even have to stay the whole night. You can see like a nice full cycle there. It's in Corona Borealis, so it's overhead, and it's about magnitude 12. So
what's the name of it?
I was unable to find in like an HD number or some other database. So I did code name this because I had to type in a target.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, the only official name that I know is Gaia Data Release 3, number.
So creative.
So here's a picture through the telescope, and the star of interest is right here. That's the one. So the way differential photometry works is I took a series of still images. The period of the star is about like 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I took 2.5 hours of data just to get a whole period plus a little extra. So differential photometry now. The star of interest is labeled T1, T for target. That's our target star. And all these here, C6, C5, C is for comparison. So this ensemble of stars are the comparison stars that we're going to normalize and hold constant from image to image. So if a little wispy cloud or a piece of humidity drifted in front of the star, you might think that the star brightness was decreasing, but it would be fake. Or if the blue pens, the blue rocks, like a baseball team, turned on their stadium lights, added some photons to the sky, you might think, if you're just counting photons, you might think the star got brighter, but that's not real. So surrounding it with a little moat of stars means that if we hold those constant just to normalize them from image to image, then any change in brightness of our target star, we think will actually be a real thing that the star is doing. And so when you plot all that data, let me explain what this is. The blue line is the brightness of the variable star, and this noisy mess down here are the brightnesses of all the comparison stars. And I have just shifted them down here just to make this easier to read. So this scale actually only applies to the variable star. But as advertised, matching the AVSO database, we got a whole period here of approximately the period that we were looking for. And importantly, the comparison stars were mostly horizontal lines. They just kind of stayed well behaved for the whole time. So,
And that's raw data, Ryan? Kind of. Like you didn't subtract out the variable stars or anything.
No, I did use some software for this, and I wasn't intending to make this a technical presentation. But each star has, if you zoomed in here, there's actually 3 targets, 3 little rings. The star is in the center, and we're just counting up the photons there. The outer 2 rings form a little donut, and that's just to get a sky background for that particular star. So this star has its own little background brightness, so does this one, so does that one, so does that. The software is subtracting out the sky brightness from the star, and then basically counting whatever photon counts are left after that. That's the brightness of each star.
Cool.
So, I mean, it is, I guess, not really raw data. There is some computation going into this.
Cool.
So can we as a club, using club equipment, detect a variable star? I think definitively yes. So the next thing, and this was the original question, can we detect an exoplanet? And I don't know, but that's the next step. That's what I'm interested in. And this is why I guarantee you'll be disappointed, and I hope I've delivered that, because I have not answered the question. But something that makes me hopeful is that Swarthmore College has a really nice database of exoplanet transits. And I really hope some grad student got well rewarded for this. But you can type in your location, and it will tell you, like in your local time, all the exoplanet transits that are happening visible to you for that night. So this is tonight. Right now, we have 4 options. I filtered the database for magnitude 14 stars and brighter, and also light dips of 0.5% or greater. Thinking that like relatively bright stars would be easier, and bigger light dips would be easier. We got 4 options to choose from. I mean, here is this one. This one starts at 9:44. You guys, like,
Uh-oh, hurry up. Oh, we missed it.
15 minutes away. Like this is going on right now.
Hurry up.
There's a magnitude 13 star. The transit event is going to last 3 hours and 8 minutes. That's how long it takes for the planet to cross the disk of its star. So it's going to end around I think it's 12:52 is what that is. And the change in brightness is going to be 1.4%, which is huge. Like either that's a real big planet or a small star. I don't know. It'd be like one of these hot Jupiters that everyone's talking about. So any night when you plug this in, you usually get a good like 1 or 2 and sometimes more, even like 4 results. So anytime there's a clear night, I do anticipate that there's probably something to see. So to me, this is pretty encouraging for detecting our own exoplanet. I think the transits are there. There's several per night, just waiting to be observed. And then this is kind of my call to action or call to volunteers, I guess, because the more people we have who are running the scopes and doing this, the more observations we can get. So if any of you are interested in detecting an exoplanet for yourself, talk to me either after this meeting, at a Tuesday workshop, just however you can, or talk to Jeff or Rob and they'll set you straight. I probably shouldn't speak on behalf of the club or the officers, but I think generally the club would say that more people using more of the equipment more often is a good thing.
Absolutely.
So if anyone here has an interest in photometry, which could be exoplanets, that's what I'm going for, but you could be interested in variable stars, eclipsing binaries, or whatever it is, come talk to me, because I think if we have several people working on this, then that just is more likely that when a good, interesting transit event comes up, we'll have someone available to run the scopes. And if you don't know anything about photometry, neither did I like 5 weeks ago. So it doesn't even matter. Like, you can learn all of this in, I'd say, a relatively short time. And then the last thing is, I really probably should take a minute to thank Rob and Jeff for this, because they've both dedicated many hours of their time to this in the last month, including we all gave up Saturday night, like 2 weekends ago, doing a medium successful test run.
Practice run.
Yeah, practice run. And in fact, some of the software that I use for this, instrumental in my workflow, Rob actually wrote. So thanks to them. And that's all I have. So if you're interested in photometry, definitely talk to me whenever you can.
Was that software and K-stars or?
K-stars is what ran the scope with guiding, plate solving, running the camera and everything like that. And then Rob has a batch plate solver software that can plate solve the images, which I needed in order to do the later analysis.
Post-processing.
Everything in the Sawin was controlled with K-stars.
And across the board, all free software, correct?
All free software. Yeah, that is true. K-stars is free. Not that it matters. It's already a computer in there, but.
And yeah, all you need is a computer, and it doesn't matter. It needs no software, because what's actually running the telescope and all the equipment is a mini computer strapped onto it. All Ryan was doing with his computer was teleporting, remoting into it. Yeah.
But you do need DNC to do that.
Right, but then every computer has that.
That first exoplanet you were looking at, that WASP 37b.
Yeah.
Just for the record, that's about 1,100 light years away. It's about a little bit bigger than, it's actually more than 1.5 times Jupiter. Surface gravity, 3.5 Gs. and it's only 0.04 AU from a G-type star, so.
Oh, wow.
I don't think there's gonna Rocky or, I don't even think Rocky could survive.
But
Just saying.
that shows why it's a good
You've
target.
been there, Andy?
Yeah.
If I did, I mean, I got a hell of a tan.
Yeah.
This could be all the stuff that you could find if you want to help me out here. So that's why I think more
Yeah.
volunteers are good. You're saying that's the one that's like
In Virgo, that's where it is.
10 minutes away?
Cool.
In Virgo.
All right.
Any other questions or comments for Ryan?
How much processing did you have to do to come up with all those graphs? Or did that just come out of the system? That,
I randomly searched for the question is how much processing did I have to do to come up with this graph? So I randomly just searched online to see what kind of software people were doing who do this as amateurs. And the software that I found, I mean, there's about 20 minutes of work maybe to go from raw images to a graph. Although if you want to be sloppy about it and you don't care how like introducing more noise, at a certain point, like the software can generate one of these graphs in 5 minutes. To test my data, I wasn't just looking at the variable star. I started comparing like any random star to another random star and make sure that I get two horizontal lines just as proof of concept and to try to make sure things are working. So, you know, I've done this at a certain point like a dozen different times on random stars and all sorts of things just to make sure that it's throwing out real data. So actually software is doing most of that work.
Did any of your club stars end up to be variable?
No.
So I don't know. ABSO, the variable star observer people, they actually they have lists of suggested comp stars to use, but that was too complicated and I didn't do it. So I just picked randomly, although like this magenta line, I was looking at that and I think it's consistently low here and then it very slowly climbs up here.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe that's a sign that it's also a variable
A
star.
longer period star.
Yeah,
A discovery.
this is
Nobel Prize,
an
baby.
unusually fast period. So any more normal star probably would take a lot longer and take many of these graphs worth of timelines.
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
Can sunspot groups affect the results, on the exo star?
So
Sunspot groups?
yes, but there are more suspected exoplanets than there are confirmed ones. And one of the ways that they're confirmed is that these planets keep going around at a pretty regular rate. And multiple observations can confirm that what you're looking at isn't something like a sunspot and is an actual planet. And in fact, this is the Swarthmore Transit Finder again. So they have a period. This planet that Andy was just telling us about here, it has a period of 3.58 days. So not only is it really fast, but if its period aligned with our Earth nights in the right way, we could catch it going around tonight, like right now, and then catch it again, I guess, like 7 days from now. And we can confirm that what we saw isn't a sunspot or something weird like that.
It's a very hot Jupiter.
Yeah, very hot Jupiter. But professionals confirmed these. Like, I'm not actually doubting these. I'm just trying to duplicate their work just to see if it can be done.
And obviously to emphasize, we're intentionally using the word detect, not discover. But it's cool.
I doubt anyone here will be discovering a new exoplanet, so I was very purposefully saying detect.
Yeah.
Detect and already.
Which is still amazing. And I don't know, I'll speak for myself, Ryan, I appreciate you setting the expectations by suggesting that we would all be disappointed. I'm amazed, impressed, enthralled, excited, and a bunch of other adjectives.
Yes.
This is super cool. So maybe kudos.
Ryan, I wanted to draw to your attention, there's a book I think you'd enjoy reading called Starlight Nights by Leslie Peltier. And his record was 132,000 variable star observations. I think he set a record at the AAVSO.
132. So this is
Thousand.
computer
It's
science.
named Leslie Peltier, and it's called Starlight Nights, and it's an excellent book.
Hey, only 131,999 to go.
We got a lot of work. All right.
Thanks, Mary.
That's an old book.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to emphasize, and I'll maybe embarrass Ryan a little bit, I'm also impressed with how quickly he not only came up to speed on the equipment, but in his knowledge of variable stars and exoplanets and all the surrounding science that has guided him in the pursuit. So fantastic. I always love it when club members enhance what we are doing as a club collectively. So major kudos, Ryan.
And like, I can't emphasize enough, this was like the last 4 to 5 weeks, meaning anyone who does want to try this really probably could get products.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks again, Ryan. That concludes our program for tonight. Want to again thank all of our speakers again. And again, a final acknowledgement of our award recipients for today. Again, for always, keep your eye on the groups.io in between meetings, and there are refreshments in the library. So we'll catch everybody next time. Thank you.